Alrighty, welcome back everyone. I'm Jonathan. This is Duke Does Amazon. Today's video, I still want to continue to help paint the picture for anybody starting off or not really sure of what it means to sell on Amazon. Specifically, I do retail arbitrage, which is my method of sourcing goods, and then I fulfill the orders through a method or channel called Fulfillment by Amazon. There's a lot of different ways to source goods. There's only two ways to fulfill the order. I do Fulfillment by Amazon, so my combination is retail arbitrage, Fulfillment by Amazon. That's what I think every beginner should be doing, and we'll talk more about those. But I just want to make sure there's some background on what I primarily do, as this will play into how I answer the questions. So I have 13 questions. People have asked me these questions. I've thought these would be good questions to be asked if I was a beginner or that I asked as a beginner. And so we'll just go one by one. And I think at the end of this, the goal is that you have a pretty good idea of what it means to sell on Amazon doing retail arbitrage and FBA. All right. So first things first, what is retail arbitrage? All right. So I actually just made a video on the 4 most common ways to source goods. Retail arbitrage is one of those ways. Sourcing goods is a fancy way of saying, how do you buy goods to sell somewhere else for profit? Okay, being that we're selling on Amazon, buy goods at a retail store for retail arbitrage. I know that might seem crazy, but you go to brick and mortar stores, you buy tangible physical goods, so nothing digital, tangible goods that you anticipate making profit with, and then selling them on Amazon. Okay. And so it's really that simple. Buying things, selling them on Amazon. That is retail arbitrage. It's just a fancy term for it. All right. Common question, is it like eBay? Not really. There's one similar comparison that I'll touch upon in a minute, but here are some notable differences. Okay. For one, the sheer amount of volume that goes through Amazon versus eBay is not even comparable. I could go on Google and break down all the numbers, but just know that there's 150 million active Prime shoppers on Amazon. All right, so the amount of just volume that they do and the scalability as a third-party seller is unrivaled to any e-commerce platform. Okay. Also, unlike eBay, if you do Fulfillment by Amazon, you're not shipping out items to the customer one by one by one by one, which would also mean that you're having to store all these items at yourself. So if you do FBA, everything gets shipped to Amazon and they ship it to the end customer, fulfilling the orders. Now, the other alternative to fulfill an order on Amazon is Fulfillment by Merchant. So that does kind of resemble eBay in that you do keep your inventory at your house, you list it on Amazon, and then you ship the product to the end user. So that's the only real similarity, but I wouldn't suggest anybody do FBM except for very, very certain unique examples. There's always exceptions and outliers, but the majority of what I focus on, what every major scalable business seller on Amazon focuses on, from my experience, is FBA, because the scalability, you just get it all to them and they handle the rest. Also, I have never created or listed on Amazon, okay? There are so many existing products listed on Amazon. You find it, and then you add your inventory to that existing listing, as opposed to having to take pictures, write a description, all of that stuff. So for those reasons and many others, it's really not comparable, other than they're just both e-commerce platforms, all right? Where do you find things to sell? Everywhere. Like literally everywhere. I've never gone to a retail store where I couldn't find an item that is selling on Amazon and that I can make a profit on. Okay. Now it might not always fit the parameters I want, but they're everywhere. Walmart's, Target, your local grocery store, Kohl's, everyday stores have plenty of profitable items that you can flip on Amazon. Okay. I assure you that. We're not, as third-party sellers, finding these little mom and pop specialty stores. I mean, sure, that's part of the equation, but you can make a really nice income just off of major stores alone. Okay. What sells? In one word, everything. Okay. Amazon sells millions and millions of goods, all different categories. And this is a good time to point out, a lot of people as new sellers have like preconceived notions of what is going to sell and what they should focus on. Like, forget that. It's all about the data, okay? No personal preference gets involved. It doesn't matter what you buy in your personal life, your friends buy. It all comes down to the data. Who's buying it and can I sell it for a profit, right? Are people buying it and can I sell it for a profit? So everything basically sells. Why do people pay more on Amazon? Why are they willing to pay more? First thing, and I just mentioned, I actually created a video recently explaining why people do, but there is a myth. People don't always pay more on Amazon. In fact, a lot of times they pay much less, and sometimes just right in between where you would find it at a store in person. So it's all over the place. There's always gonna be supply and demand that dictates and the amount of sellers. But in a nutshell, if someone does pay a little bit more, it comes down to convenience. You don't have to drive to the store. You don't have to guess if it's in stock. You don't have to spend time. You don't have to spend money on gas. You could be doing other things with your life. And in this day and age with Prime shipping, you know you're gonna get it within 2 days anyway, typically. So for all of those reasons, in a nutshell, it's just convenience, okay? Okay, something that has been asked to me when I show like family member or friends a really one-off item that, again, maybe we would never buy in our personal life. People actually pay for those? Absolutely. Again, it comes down to there's no personal tie to any of these products. It's all about the data. And actually, some really unique products do really well because some people, it might be more of a sensitive item. Think of tampons, think of adult diapers, think of pregnancy tests. People maybe are not comfortable shopping in person doing that for whatever reason. If you are comfortable sourcing those products, which by the way, I have no shame in my game. If it makes money, it makes money. Actually makes for a funny story or a text to somebody. But yeah, I mean, people buy everything that you can imagine, and I mean that wholeheartedly. All right, so nothing off limit. Don't set your mindset to be closed-minded to anything. What is FBA? So I alluded to this earlier. You buy your products and then you fulfill the orders, okay? Meaning that you sell them and get them to the customer, start to finish. There's two ways of doing that on Amazon. FBM is more of like what you think of as eBay. You list it on Amazon, you ship it to the customer yourself, you deal with customer service. I do that less than 1% of the time. The real way to scale this business is FBA. The convenience is great. You ship everything to Amazon, everything. They check it in, they store it, they pick it, they pack it, they ship it, they box it, and they deal with customer service. Now they're gonna take a fee for doing this, a much higher fee than if you sold something FBM, but to me it's worth every single penny, and I don't know at what point they'd have to increase their rate so high that there's no number that would deter me because of what they've created, all right? So that's what FBA is in a nutshell. What are your startup costs? This is a little tricky. There's no one size fits all. I would say this, if you wanted to start bare bone, if you have a laptop, a phone, and can open an Amazon seller account, you can start with a couple bucks and scanning and selling things that you don't use in your house, okay? Do I think you're gonna make a lot of money doing that? Is it sustainable? No. But just to start getting the ball rolling, you could do that. And on the flip side, if I was talking to a friend or family member who was really serious and I knew they were committed, I'd say, hey, you should really have these subscriptions from day one, you should have these supplies, these tools, and this amount to start an inventory. And I would say probably $1,000 to $2,000 would be more than sufficient. If you have more than that, great. It just means you can buy more inventory, get the ball rolling quicker, make profit more quickly. But again, there's no excuse for anyone. If you have like $100, you can make it happen. And on the flip side, I would also say maybe $1,000 to $2,000 would be a really, really comfortable way of starting, okay? Why don't the stores you buy from sell on Amazon themselves? I think that's a fair question, but you have to think about these macro stores, right? The Walmarts, Targets. It's not worth their time and energy and then hiring people to sell these items, these clearance items, or whatever it is, especially clearance items, okay? They want to get that shelf space, have new inventory, and sell profitable, much higher margin items than have these things sit on the shelves, taking up space, paying somebody a salary or hourly rate to do that. They're at such a large scale that it's better for them to get rid of the product at a lower price and move on. The same way that I, as a third-party seller, when I have inventory sitting too long in Amazon, I don't just keep it there forever. I sell it at a discount. Maybe I lose a buck or two, maybe I break even, whatever it is, and I move on and I get a fresh batch of inventory that hopefully that doesn't happen to. All right? So that's why. Can you really make money? Okay, short answer is yes, and very good money. I know people doing sales well into six figures. I personally have been averaging for the first year $25,000 in sales a month. Last month in August of 2021, I surpassed $40,000 in sales. I won't dive and break that up right now. That certainly is not all profit, but a nice chunk is. And I probably put in 30 to 40 hours a week. I do other things as well. So the short answer is yes, you can make very, very good money. And by the way, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface, and I mean that wholeheartedly. However, you don't make money fast, okay? For one, it's a retail business. You're always gonna have inventory if you wanna keep the ball rolling. So that's one thing. Amazon always keeps escrow or money reserved in case there's returns or other things that they have a policy for. So if your numbers tell you made $20 profit, or I'm sorry, $20,000 profit, you're not gonna feel like you've made $20,000 profit in your bank account, because some's gonna be tied up in inventory, some's gonna be tied up in reserves, etc., etc. So just know that it's absolutely doable. You can make good money. It's not get rich quick. And to that, again, if I were talking to a good friend or family member of mine, I would say keep your day job, hustle on the side, the nights, the weekends. You have plenty of time to make this happen. And then once you get the ball rolling, you can cross that path when you get there, but reinvest, keep buying more and more inventory, scaling up, learning the ins and outs while you have a steady paycheck. And then one day, if you wanted to transition, you could do so. All right, that's what I would tell somebody close to me. Why doesn't Amazon just buy the inventory themselves? I think this is a great question, and it's really interesting actually. So it's very mutually beneficial, the relationship that third-party sellers like myself have with Amazon. So when you think about it, Amazon doesn't have to spend the money or take the risk of carrying the inventory that third-party sellers like myself do. Now, on the flip side, we get to use Amazon's infrastructure, their buildings. We don't have to store stuff at our house. They have this built-in platform that is Prime and even non-Prime users. Our products get listed as Prime, and all for what? So they take a fee, so that's how they win. They don't have to buy the inventory or take the risk of that, and they get a nice fee. And we have access to their buyers and to their infrastructure and to their platform that we all know is gigantic. So it's a very mutually beneficial relationship, and it saves them millions and probably billions of dollars in not having to buy inventory. All right? Is it easy? I always have a saying for this, and it couldn't be more accurate. This is simple, it's not easy. Meaning that it's hard work, it takes time, you have to figure it out, but it's also not rocket science. At the end of the day, we're buying low, we're selling high, we're learning how to make good decisions based on reading charts on your phone. It's really just the determination and consistency, because anybody can do this. I mean that with every ounce in my body. Anybody can do this if you just stick with it. I am living proof of that. I am not this tech savvy guru. I work hard at it, sure, but again, I am not reinventing the wheel here. We're buying low and selling high. Simple, not easy. Is it too late? Absolutely not. I started just 15 months ago. I'm just scratching the surface. The opportunity is through the roof. E-commerce, especially with the past year and a half with COVID and everything going on, continues to soar. And to give you some numbers, and I'm sure I can dive in much deeper at another point, Q4, October, November, and December of 2020, Amazon did $125 billion with a B worth of sales in 3 months, okay? There's about 2 million active third-party sellers like myself from data I grabbed online pretty quickly. There's about 10 million actual sellers, but 2 million that are active from what I gathered. Don't hold me to that. But even if that number was doubled, right? There's 150 million Prime users, and not to mention all the people that don't use Prime, okay? Or don't have Prime subscriptions, or piggybacking off of Uncle Jeff or their sister or whatever it is. So there's more than that. So think of that ratio and the numbers of sales. Start now. Just get started, seriously. And so I think that's it. Yep, I have a question here at the bottom, but I moved that to the top. I wanted to answer what retail arbitrage is. So again, I hope to paint the picture of what it really means to sell on Amazon. I'm really gung-ho about retail arbitrage for all beginners because it's the easiest way to get started, lowest barrier to entry, great return on investments for unique items specific to those stores, and anybody can do it. I like FBA as my fulfillment because you can send everything to Amazon, set it and forget it. You get to be listed as Prime, you know, and you just have access to all of these customers and sell at a higher price amongst many other reasons. I hope that helps paint the picture. I'm kind of continuing to gear these towards beginners, and I'm just going to naturally progress along the way more and more as I intend to make many of these. Again, my name is Jonathan. This is Duke Does Amazon. Before signing off, let's check in on the man himself. Oh yeah, power napping. Had a nice meal. So take it easy, guys. If you do have any questions about this video or anything in general, drop it below and have a great day. All right?